Stugotz here. Spring is your chance to make your lawn look like the perfectly trimmed work of art you watch your favorite team run across on TV. But before you get to work, make sure you can get to work. Advance Auto Parts will test your lawn and garden battery for free. If it needs to be replaced, grab an Autocraft lawn and garden battery starting at just $22.99. Plus, enter the code DAN20 when you buy online to save 20%. Think ahead. Think Advance at Advance Auto Parts. The Dan Le Batard with Stugotz Show podcast is presented by Capital One. This is Banking Reimagined.
I think I speak for everybody when I say it's scary, it's unsettling. We don't really know how this affects us here down in South Florida. We're all sort of nervous about the Heat's home loss to the Charlotte Hornets last night. Very, very scary stuff.
Very telling.
Don't really know what this means going forward. Obviously, we're all trying to figure this thing out together with Corona. It seems as though sports is continuing to head in the direction where we're just going to hit the pause button on everything. Last night, I don't know how you guys experienced this, but I can take a guess. That was about the craziest 45-minute sequence I think I've ever experienced. And no lie, I think like maybe since the DeAndre Jordan free agency, this stuff on Twitter is my only comparison.
3 stories back to back. 3 stories back to back to back, right? The Hanks. Yeah. What was the order? It was Hanks.
Well, I'm tuning in to watch the president address a nation from the Oval Office over a pandemic, which is not something I've ever seen before in my life. Right. When the president speaks to us, it's because like a declaration of war or, you know, like a terrorist attack.
From the Oval Office, too.
Yeah, I've never heard him speak about just like an outbreak of sickness.
That's when so if you include that one, so 4 things. Like he speaks, you're like, okay, this is serious.
In the middle of it, I turned to my wife, I'm like, this feels like a simulation. Like if you would have shown me this video like 10 years ago where President Donald Trump is speaking to us about an outbreak of an illness, like this is just craziness to me. And then you see off in the periphery on NBA Twitter, they postponed the Oklahoma City game and you're like, oh, I wonder what's going on there. Yeah. Has to be something specific to the crowd or something, right? So everything is moving at such a pace that you're not even really paying attention to that. You got your eyes on the Heat game, and as the Heat game's going on, there's this memo that goes out. NBA is suspending play. This is the last time you're going to see NBA basketball for who knows how long.
But the way I saw it was just tweet. I just saw the Woj tweet. Yeah. One sentence, the NBA season has been suspended. I'm just like, it just hit the way. Like, more than seeing that whole memo.
It hit like Schefter's assault tweet. So the president concludes his address to the nation, and almost immediately, Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson announce that they have corona in Australia. And then word starts trickling in that a player on the Utah Jazz has it. Then you see video of Rudy Gobert touching a bunch of microphones. Then it's confirmed that it is indeed Rudy Gobert. You read the reports that he felt like he could actually play. He didn't really have like flu-like symptoms. He thought he was going to play. It's actually a pretty harrowing story. People that were in attendance in Oklahoma City said a trainer just started sprinting out of the locker room
as the game was about to start. Like, no.
Yeah, we got to stop this. And you almost have to like pinch yourself to see if this is real. Also earlier in the day, it felt like a lifetime before they announced that the NCAA tournament is going to press on without people in attendance.
Which could change, right?
Which could change.
As we said yesterday, I feel like people are going to take the NBA's lead, and we could see...
Oh, yeah. Also, earlier in the day, a Juventus player got it.
Yeah.
And now it was just announced that La Liga in Spain is suspending for 2 weeks. And I read that Real Madrid is in quarantine for 15 days. We've never seen anything like this due to sickness in sports. We've seen, I know back in 9/11, not to draw any comparisons, but in 9/11, sports absolutely stopped as we as a nation collectively try to figure it out.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this before. I think that goes without saying. I don't even know where to go with this other than... Your thoughts?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, obviously, we should state, and I think you did, that Rudy Gobert felt fine. So it's kind of weird that he has this thing and he still felt like he could play. Chet Hanks just released a statement, or last night he did, that Tom and Rita apparently feel okay.
Yeah.
But they're just taking all the precautions.
They described that they had chills and they wanted to get checked out.
Right.
It all depends. Like, there's obviously a spectrum here of how people are feeling, and it affects mostly the elderly in terms of like fatal consequences with respiratory issues. But young people can carry this, and it could obviously affect loved ones to a much more severe degree.
Miami-Dade had their first case. Some guy, 56-year-old. Apparently, it was people travel.
People were sharing fake news. Like, don't look. I love following Only in Dade as like a great Instagram account. Don't be sending me like screenshots of Only in Dade. Like, Only in Dade is like the Woj of Corona.
Right.
Like, please, like, have some discretion.
What did they say?
There was like this draft that an officer put out, leaked medical documents saying that there was a fatal corona case regarding a 21-year-old at Kendall Regional Hospital, which is like,
and it just that did
like
not
a mile from my place.
That's not true. It turns out that's not true.
No. Kendall Regional came out and denied it.
Yeah.
Don't like. Yeah, it's a scary enough time. Like, look for verified check marks and really consider sources.
I thought Mark Cuban, who, I guess, I don't know why I was shocked by it, but his tone was just really cool to see, in that he was just like, look, man, like, what am I going to sit here and pretend like I'm some expert on this?
Yeah.
Like, the league is obviously talking to people who are smart, so I'm just going to listen
to
them.
The video of Mark Cuban, like, finding out, I mean, it was sort of like, it encapsulated, I think, a lot of what we were feeling. He was probably displaying a little bit more emotion than some of us, but all this is shocking. Look, Rudy Gobert is an NBA All-Star. He's a name that NBA fans know, and he's now got this virus. Not to say he means more than anybody else. It's just a connection point that you have, and we're here now. People that you know have it.
It's kind of crazy to see the stories of the people that, like, think they're sick and are trying to get tested and just can't.
Yeah.
A lot of this is just because there isn't enough information out there. It's almost like an infodemic because you don't have enough tests out there to really have a firm grasp on the situation, which makes me feel like, okay, let's just all just hit the pause button for 2 weeks, get tests out there.
Which isn't like the worst thing in the world, honestly.
No, I mean, it's going to destroy some businesses if you just all of a sudden say, hey, 2 weeks. And then, which businesses stay open? Because for me, I was telling you this before we got started, I'm not really worried so much like about getting the illness, and if I get the illness, the effects that I have. In reading about how certain young people have had it, doesn't really affect them. I'm obviously worried about what does this mean for my kid, and I'm Googling how it affects babies. I'll stay away from the elderly. But what I'm most concerned about is us, like, as people and our panic situations and us trying to protect our families. I'm worried about shortages.
Yeah.
We've already experienced it. You can't find hand sanitizer. You can't find hand soap. You can't find toilet paper. I was saying that I'm starting to feed my baby this week. The plan was to feed her normal food. Well, to do that, you have to feed her the same flavor of food to find out if she has allergies to something for successive days. Amazon caps you at one flavor.
Yeah.
So you can only order one. So maybe I can't do that this week.
I saw on the internet last night, like, long lines already at grocery stores, people just trying to stock up on stuff. Like, it's getting scary, man. Like, last night, and our show, like, I feel like people come to us to try to laugh about stuff, and yesterday we did the thing with Stugotz, like, we were having fun with it. Last night was I think, and I'm not different, I feel like a lot of people this happened to last night. It just became real last night for me. For some reason, like, maybe I'm just being a stupid myopic, it wasn't in my backyard yet, it didn't affect me yet, but I just felt affected by it last night, and my wife was brought into it. We're watching Trump, and then we're hearing all this news, and my wife, who was very like, oh, this is nothing, people are overreacting, like, my wife was in that camp, and now she's like, should we not let Graceland go to daycare tomorrow? Like, she was just all of a sudden freaking out, and it's just like, I think we just need to keep trucking along, but this is scary.
I think the most important thing is to stay calm.
Yeah.
Like, don't overreact. Be smart about the situation. And, I mean, you don't need Billy Gill telling you this,
right.
But
I mean, you're making me feel better.
Yeah, like, you have a very soothing voice.
Remain
right now.
calm.
Yeah.
Be smart about it. If you feel you have the symptoms, like,
don't go out.
Don't get other people sick. If work closes or whatever,
Like, stay home. Don't go
Right.
and be
Don't
around
look
a
at it
bunch
like-
of people and think, oh, this is fun party time. And
Not a snow day.
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Like, if there's a chance that you have this, like, just be smart about it. Be responsible. And even if this isn't going to affect you directly, like, it could impact other people that are not as healthy as you are. So just be responsible.
Right. And you see, like, we were kind of like not joking about it yesterday, but just trying to make light of the situation. And then you see the video of Rudy Gobert a few days before he got diagnosed. Did you see the video of him leaving a press?
You see the video. We mentioned it earlier, like him touching all the microphones and sort of going out of his way, like, "Hey guys, this is nothing to worry about." And now he's
I'm supposed to stay away from you. Let me touch all your mics.
Yeah,
like, and then
he's not only the face of like Corona now in this country, him and Tom Hanks, but he's like the face of being just like a flat out ignorant idiot when it comes to just like how you go about.
And I
these
saw
things.
Royce Young reporting from OKC last night. And he said he talked to Jazz reporters who were staying to get tested because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it affected those reporters whose phones he touched. I know he was joking about it, but
yeah,
man,
it's an interesting time in sports, and it's actually a pretty good week and day to speak to David Samson. Who knows how dated this podcast may sound when we post it. All this stuff is very fluid. Like we said, from the time we started this local hour to now, like an entire league is also suspended play over in Europe. Bad news for Inter Miami, my guess is.
Yeah, I don't even want to go anymore.
No,
I was tweeting last night. I tweeted out a GIF of someone celebrating when they were saying they were going to keep playing.
Yeah, and
now I feel like an idiot for that. I feel like a insensitive jerk.
Probably not going to happen.
I wonder if Samson's going to review Outbreak.
It'll be interesting to see what his movie review is, but I'm genuinely curious to see like how this affects, because he has being a former team president for a professional sports franchise. I'm interested to see what he thinks the ramifications of all this are, because we're in uncharted territory here. So David Samson joins us next. So now we turn to David Samson, host of Nothing Personal. David, obviously you have a unique experience and you can probably speak to this, although you don't have experience with this sort of issue. As I mentioned previously, uncharted territory for all of us. The NBA comes down with the announcement that they're suspending play. Rudy Gobert has it. I mean, American icon Tom Hanks has it. If you can't really find a connection point there, I don't really know if you have a soul or not. So just off the bat, your initial thoughts, and then let's go from there and work individually as to what this means for teams and leagues.
I think that America did not take this seriously enough early enough, and we thought that we were above it and that it wouldn't impact us. And so therefore, we had a chance early on to try to make the curve. You're going to hear a lot about flattening the curve today. And flattening the curve means that you try to spread out the infections. Instead of getting everyone into the hospital at once, everyone getting infected at once, you're trying to get the population to actually be infected over a period of time. That is actually the way to deal with the pandemic, and that is something that America just wasn't prepared to think about or ponder, and now we're having no choice. And the sports leagues in America, it's been so disappointing, where we were always in baseball, felt that we were leaders. We were looked at during 9/11 as leaders, as trying to figure out what is best to help heal the nation, and we took that very seriously, and I'm afraid leagues are being so reactive right now, and that's been part of the problem.
So do you think that the NBA, who's assumed that leadership position, and you're absolutely right, Major League Baseball was sort of driving the return to, air quotes, normalcy in terms of sports when 9/11 happened. And again, not to be flippant about 9/11 at all, that's really like the only connection that we have in terms of something that we've seen similar. The NBA, everyone's looking to Adam Silver and his leadership. He's done more than any other league, which may or may not be saying much. Do you think the NBA, in terms of like handling this leadership position, is doing the right thing?
They did the right thing, but let's go back and talk about what happened just yesterday, because this story changes minute by minute. In Washington, D.C., it was suggested that no public gatherings happen. And the Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals said, you know what? We don't care. We're going ahead and playing. The Golden State Warriors were told, please don't play. They went ahead and played in front of fans their last game, obviously not the game against the Nets. It is as though that we are putting business first. And believe me, I get it, that it's business and not personal. But when you're talking about a global health emergency, you've got to pay attention to what people who know what they're talking about are saying. So this isn't just about waiting for a player to test positive. And that was my biggest thing on Nothing Personal. What are we, waiting for a player to test positive before the league suspends? And then hours later, that's exactly what happened. That's too late.
When you have a partnership of like 30 some odd teams, though, and each individual city has their own sort of governing system, how much do you wait on local governments to sort of decide what you do? Or how much do you put the pressure on a commissioner to say, hey, we need a blanket sort of policy here, because we can't, it doesn't really make much sense to not have teams in the Bay Area playing empty arena games, but then you travel to Charlotte and they got a packed house at the in Greensboro, they got a packed house for the ACC tournament.
I mean, that's the joke of it. Can you imagine that at first baseball was saying that we could look for neutral sites to play games where the coronavirus has not yet been impacted? That very pedestrian thinking is the problem and why we are behind the eight ball in this issue, right? You don't go to a neutral site with people who could be infected and go to a place where there are no infections. That is why there is self-quarantine. That is why there are no public gatherings. And we can't count on the individual teams to make decisions, because I have found, and I was one of them, that I would always put money ahead of everything, because I never dealt with health. I was dealing with sort of emotion, and I was not emotional. So I would put business ahead of everything. That can't happen. So the commissioner has to step in, but the commissioners aren't stepping in, which is why the federal government needs to step in, but they didn't do it fast enough. That's why local state governments started making the mandates. That's how this has gone down.
I like how you're speaking on this. I do wonder that if you never left Major League Baseball, if your attitude might change, if you're just a different person and you're programmed by sort of the business aspect of all of this. Say I make David Samson the commissioner of sports a week ago. How does he approach it differently?
Oh, I would have suspended all play a week ago, and here's why. It would have seemed as though I was overreacting. When it comes to a pandemic, you want to be looked at as overreacting. When it comes to leadership in other situations, you want to be looked at as completely calm. You want to make sure that you are having proportional responses to any crisis that happens. When it comes to something like this, though, I would rather be looked at as having not a proportional response, because I know I'm going to be proven right, because you can't stop math. And the math in America was going to replicate that which happened in Asia and that which is happening currently in Europe. It was as inevitable as the sunrise, but for whatever reason, we thought that it wouldn't happen. And that's really where the mistakes started being made.
Do you think that there's any part in the decision-making process where they said, you know what, this is going on around the country, it hasn't been here, if we cancel the games, a week ago, like you said? Because yesterday when they canceled or they suspended the rest of the season for, the time being, that's when a panic of sorts kind of set in for a lot of people. So is that something that you take into consideration where you say, you know what, if we do this, this is going to cause widespread panic?
But that's where leadership comes. That's when you take the mic. That's when you do a press conference. You don't do it through a statement. You put a face to it, and you look like a leader and act like a leader. You need information. You need to communicate it in a clear and concise way, and that's not done through statements. You do it face-to-face with your fans, with the country, with the citizens, and we're still waiting for that void of leadership to be filled.
David, how is this affecting you personally? Are you changing anything? I know we talked last week and we kind of joked a little bit about how you tend to be someone who is very, a hypochondriac so you've been kind of living your whole life as if coronavirus is around. But, with all the new news, are you changing anything? How are you handling this?
The irony is that I always have extra supplies, so I am not at all panicked. Now, there shouldn't be a run. People don't have to worry, right? We could be heading into a recession. The market is going to go down again today significantly, but people have to just not panic. But many people have not lived through a recession before, and I have. Recessions will come to an end. The market going down will come to an end. Sports will again be played. If the worst thing that happens is the NCAA tournament gets canceled and you can't watch the Masters in person, life will go on. So there's an opportunity for sports to be a leader in this area, and that's what I'm hoping happens. From my perspective, I'm just here trying to give people information and trying to tell people what I would do, what is happening, and what will happen. And we'll see how it all plays out.
So how are we doing this? Are we still reviewing something? Is the mood too somber? What are we doing here?
Well, you know I watch a movie every day.
There we go.
So
Let's review something. Let's get back to normal a little bit here.
Of course I watched a movie. So what do? So I had a long night. I was up very, very late, and I knew I had to be in the studio at CBS very, very early, which I was and am. So I needed to laugh. And when you have a go-to laugh movie, what is your go-to laugh movie? My go-to laugh movie is Fletch. I watched Fletch from 2:15 to around 4 o'clock this morning, and it was perfect because I didn't have to think about anything. I got to smile at some of the lines. So people are saying, watch Outbreak, watch Contagion. People ask, what's your favorite End of the World movie, which I answered is 12 Monkeys. Those are not the type of movies I want to be watching right now. I want to smile when I can smile.
How do you deal with this, David? Because, I think we're learning this together, and you're new to media. You want to inform people, but you don't want to cause a sense of panic. So I'm wondering how you find the balance there.
The balance is to just be calm and to say what you believe is happening in a way that people can self-relate. So when I talk on the air or on Nothing Personal about what I think is going to happen in sports and what I think people should be doing, it's not, running around naked in the middle of the street fighting people over toilet paper. It is making smart decisions about yourself. If you're sick, you don't go to work. If you have anyone around you who is elderly and more susceptible to the possibility of dying from coronavirus, you make sure that you've got a way to care for that person, and even make sure that if you're with that person, that person is sort of quarantined in a separate part of the house, and that you're cleaning your bathroom, you're washing your hands, things that actually should be going on anyway. When someone's just got the flu, you don't go around French kissing them, do you? So we need a sense of common sense, but this coronavirus is not like the regular flu, and we have to inform people of that. This is a time where in the media you have an opportunity to strike a serious, thoughtful tone while not spreading panic but spreading information.
Thank you so much, David. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, thank you, guys.
So we're essentially just living out the plot of Space Jam, right? I mean, it feels pretty similar. The videos, the clips of Space Jam that showed up on Twitter last night.
Vlade Divac refusing to get dressed in the locker room.
Coaches talking to the media like we're going to play. Oh, no, we're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, we live in a wild time when the only, reference point is Space Jam.
What was the most shocking news yesterday? That the NBA season has been suspended, or that somebody, a fan of our show, has the Mystery Crate tattoo?
Mystery Crate tattoo.
More shocking.
I don't know who would do such a thing.
It's a beautiful move. It's a dedicated fan, a Dan. And
it's idiotic.
Whoa! All right. Well, that's you guys. You're going to be
the guy's on hold. Get him on the phone. What's his name?
Brock.
Brock, you are on
Brock.
the air.
B-Rock.
So I guess
Brock, please tell me that's fake.
I support you, Brock.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
So let's start here. I'm sorry. There was just an awkward pause there. What compelled you to get this tattoo?
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about it for a while. I'm a big tattoo guy. I got 20-something. And actually, Billy, I was going to go with the Guillermo Mafia tattoo before Steak Sauce did, because my first name is William. And when I was in Spanish class, in 3rd grade, 4th grade, my Spanish teacher told me my Spanish name was Guillermo. So I've always had a connection to that, and I was going to get the Guillermo Mafia, but when Steak Sauce got it, I didn't want to seem like a copycat. The Mystery Crate has always been one of my favorite pods. I enjoy y'all's work, what y'all put out. I wanted to get something to support the show.
Well, number one, thank you. This is
I
you supporting
appreciate
us
the sentiment
to an extreme.
I feel like you're going to regret it.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people could say that about.
I've been asked about. Yeah, I mean, I've got.
This is going
Dan
on.
said yesterday on the show that Dan said yesterday on the show that when I'm going to regret it in 50 years, and if at 94 regretting a mystery crate tattoo is the worst thing I got going on, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not so much worried about you regretting it in 50 years as I am you regretting it in 50 days. It's for a show like ours. Look, I think it's fairly absurd that anyone is tattooing like show references on their body. Mystery Crate, especially, which is like the lowest profile podcast on the network.
Whoa! The MC,
yeah,
the Craters,
the MC.
I mean, obviously, he doesn't feel that way.
No, I'm really happy. Honestly, more than anything, I'm just happy that you like the podcast because it's a bit of an out there concept. Hey, let me ask you, since you're like a dedicated Mystery Crate fan, what's been your favorite episode so far?
I definitely think the Bachelor with the Boys segments have caught me off guard because I'm not a fan of the show, but to have such passion and such love for a reality dating game show from a bunch of guys, it's really impressed me.
No, you're just doing this thing. You're scratching my back. I scratched yours, so you're scratching my back. I love you, man.
You also just named the most recent.
Yeah, this is the most recent one.
No. He likes it.
There's been a couple. I also did like Mike's podcast about soccer. I'm not a big soccer fan, but I'm trying to.
You were just rattling off the 3 most recent Mystery Crate episodes.
Brock, I will not stand for this Brock slander. I love you. I appreciate you. You guys need to stop it.
I like the Heat Media Day ones. How about that? Let's just go back into the archives and just say one that you really liked from back in the day.
Okay, I did like Darth, the Star Wars special because I am a Star Wars fan. I love a meme. It's hard to narrow them down.
Now I know you're lying.
I was going to say, now I'm feeling like
now we know that you're
yeah. No one liked that episode.
It was awful.
No one.
Nah, Brock. Hey, man. I love you, Brock.
Brock, it looks like a particularly painful tattoo because there's a great amount of shading in that. I must say the artist did a pretty good job with like the shading, but Dan's face does look a little weird.
And where is it on your body? I couldn't tell.
It looks like it's on your calf, is it not?
It's on my left leg, the front part. It's not on my back of the calf. Ooh. It's on the left side of my leg.
Ooh, how did that feel?
I already had a tattoo on the calf.
So you had like the shin tattoo.
Not bad.
Oh, wait, no, it's still on the calf, but on the front part?
It's on the left side. It goes right up to my shin, but not over it.
Okay, because I'm thinking about getting a tattoo. Well, I'm going to get a tattoo on my actual shin bone, so I'm trying to gauge. I know it's going to hurt a lot more than the one that I got on my left bicep. I'm just trying to gauge like the amount of pain I'm in for, especially with something with such a detailed amount of shading like yours had.
Yeah, good luck with that. The shin bone is, from what I've been told, one of the more painful spots.
Sweet.
Sorry.
Awesome.
I do have a would you rather, guys.
Okay,
let's do it.
Okay, so assuming you won $100 million lottery, would you rather stay awake 24 hours a day for the next 20 years, or would you rather have to be able to only be awake 6 hours for the next 80 years? It's the same amount of hours, the same amount of time. One, you're awake the whole time. You can do whatever you want. You're always at high energy. The other one, you can only be awake for 6 hours, but you have 80 years to live.
I live to be 112.
What's the lottery have to do with this?
Well, because if you only are awake for 6 hours a day, you're not going to have a job. You're not going to be so this way, money and work is not a question. It's just a matter of would you rather spend all your time immediately with your loved ones and families, or would you rather spend it out, for 6 hours a day for the next 80 years?
And Brock, under this hypothetical, I'm not getting any of the health ramifications of staying up 24 hours. Like I feel like normal. I feel like I do now for 24 hours a day.
Yeah, you feel like 90% energy level all the time. Just,
okay.
Feel pretty good.
That's pretty dope. Although if I am up 24 hours a day, I am going to burn through that $100 million at a pretty historic pace.
So many sports bets.
So many. Dan asked me last night, like, are you crushed? Because, like, betting is going to stop. I'm like, I'll be fine without gambling. How much you want to bet?
That's... Oh, yeah.
Bet I'll be fine.
How much you want to bet? I'll give you 2-to-1 odds that I'll be totally fine without sports betting. Brock, thank you so much for the support. It seems pretty wild that I know people were going at you for this decision on social media.
Well, we kind of
but-
led the charge on that. We were kind of mean.
Yeah, we were kind of mean to you too, and I have my
haven't been
regrets.
exactly nice.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your support. And honestly, like more than actually getting the tattoo, I'm really psyched that you listen to Mystery Crate every week and support that because it is kooky.
Hey guys, I've been listening to y'all for about 4 years, almost every day since I had a family tragedy. Y'all have helped me get through it, and I really appreciate it. And I love you guys.
Oh man,
Thank you, dude. Where you from, Brock?
I currently live in Louisiana. I grew up in Alabama.
All right.
I appreciate you, Brock.
Yeah, man, Brock. Thank you so much.
Rock on.
Thank you guys. You have a great day.
See ya.
See ya.
That was
That was
rude
cool,
to
man.
him.
I mean, yeah, I feel like
you were.
we were a little.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I like Brock.
In terms of some of the other sports that haven't announced postponements, the NHL, as of right now, is operating.
They'll follow suit.
I imagine that they will. Right now, there is no change in the NHL policy. Individual teams are being affected. I saw there's a Blue Jackets game that is being moved to an empty arena against the Nashville Predators. Roy, is that the case? Have you seen that?
Yeah, they're going to play at home in an empty arena, and the Sharks are going to do the same.
Yeah, the Sharks are going to do the same because I wonder if leagues will turn to their local government. There's a couple MLS franchises. The MLS season kicked off 2 weeks ago. And I know that there's been a postponement to Seattle Sounders game. The San Jose Earthquakes are another team that are affected by local governments putting a limit on mass gatherings. I am obviously an Inter Miami fan. You're a season ticket holder. I'm a season ticket holder, Chris Cody. And we were really excited about Saturday. And even yesterday, the announcement came like, hey, game on. We're going to provide hand sanitizer. And I was like sort of excited when I saw that. And that was before Tom Hanks got this.
Yeah, now I want them to suspend it.
Now I think
I don't want them to play with no fans. That would be a terrible first home game.
Yeah. Look, if they go through the game, then I got a decision myself to make.
I'm going to go. If they do it, I'm going to go.
Yeah,
I know I'm like scared. I'm a little hesitant, but I'm going to go. If they, I don't think they will, though.
So here's the thing: like, I'm not going to go to would I not go to the game? But then I'll just go to a bar and like high five and hug random strangers when Miami
could stay home
scores. I mean, I could also not hug random strangers, but the emotion of it. I think that they'll make the decision to suspend the season, which is honestly what I prefer.
Yes.
Much rather than having empty stadium games. I know
then
there's
you could still bet though.
I understand, but I think this could really affect the season. The MLS, more than any other league, is like a tale of two halves for the season. The team that you have right now is not the team that you'll have in the July window. Yeah. Inter Miami is obviously looking at signing. They've gone on record at signing a designated player that's a number 9. Mm-hmm. So pushing some games back to the tail end of the season, reworking the schedule, and soccer is a sport that they play like on weekends. You can make up some of these fixtures and play 2 games in one week. They do that all the time for cup competitions. So there's certain ways to make up the games and take 2 weeks off without it being too challenging. And I think that's where we're headed. I'd rather postpone games than see empty stadium games, even understanding that I could bet on it, but betting's not everything.
Right.
It'll be curious to see if there's like blanket rulings, because some of these leagues, like MLS is one of them, the NBA can afford to make decisions like suspending the season as they did. I thought they were actually going to play empty arena games really because of their television contract. Most of their money is from their television contract. When you get down to like sports like the NHL, MLS, and XFL, these are businesses that are highly dependent on the gate. Highly dependent on people purchasing stuff at stadiums. It's part of their business plan. And if you start going empty stadiums for those matches, these businesses are going to take a real blow. So I know that there's a financial consequence for postponing some of the games, but I don't think it's as grave as like actually not being able to recoup that money. So we'll see. I think, look, I was right yesterday before the show, and I felt like we were headed to a fairly obvious place. I didn't think saying sports are going to change by the end of the day was that much of a risky prediction. And I think uniformly we're going to see all the leagues sort of fall in line with what the NBA did. If not by the time this podcast is posted, by the end of the show, or certainly by the end of business today.
Right now, and everything's been
I'm
canceled.
probably missing
the last
something.
10 minutes that we've
right now. What a bizarre show it's already been. and it's going to be during the national show.
How do you think Dan's like? What's going to be our mood today?
Well,
because I came in thinking we need to have a different tone than yesterday.
Yeah,
but I feel like seeing Dan, because remember, did you see Dan on Twitter last night? People were saying like, "Oh, what can we do a sports show about without sports?" Dan was like, "We got you."
Yeah, although I do think today is a day to talk about sports.
Right. That's why I saw people tweeting that. I saw Amber Wilson tweet that and another random radio host, and it's like, there's more news tonight. Like, this show should be the easiest show in years.
Yeah, at a certain point, though, you exhaust. At a certain point,
like from now,
we're going to exhaust. Like, wow, no games are going on.
A week from now, if there's no games, yes, it'll be tough.
It's always difficult for a show like ours. It's why we take off like the V Foundation auction show. We're not great in certain situations, and just our coping mechanism is often humor, and that may not fly. So it's a delicate balance for a show like ours, no doubt.
I'm surprised Stugotz hasn't texted yet that he's not coming. Just because of how
Where's Anthony?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm almost good with Anthony not coming.
Man, let me start it on him.
I don't know why. Well, I do kind of know why. I am most fascinated in terms of like cancellations. For whatever reason, I really am following the Vince McMahon storyline, and not even the XFL.
He's going to be the absolute last person to cancel anything.
So the Tampa
with XFL, do you think too? You think both of his ventures will be the last two?
I saw an XFL player tweet out. Let me find. It's in my XFL group chat. There was an XFL player, and I don't know if this is going to be the prevailing attitude for the league. I don't think he's speaking for Oliver Luck, but Charles James III, who doesn't even have the team that he plays for in his bio, but he's an XFL player, and he tweeted out, XFL's still going strong. We don't give a damn about no virus. Come over to the dark side. It's at 10:05 p.m. from Charles James the second. I'm sorry, Charles James the second. So
the first
10:05, probably right in the middle of the storm. Also
10:05 p.m.
right after everything.
Yeah, 10:05 p.m. was after you had the benefit of the knowledge, knowing that America's sweetheart Tom Hanks has coronavirus.
Which I understand why everyone's concerned, but like, he's in Australia. Like, he got it in Australia.
Yeah.
Like, just not that doesn't mean that you can't get it here, but like, I understand why everyone's like, whoa, if Tom Hanks is like immune to, viruses, but anyone can get it, guys. Like,
well, honestly, the Rudy Gobert thing, and we now have the result of him having
I feel bad for him for a number of reasons. Yeah. One of which is he didn't travel internationally, so he got it from someone. He's just
you could assume that he got it from touching the microphones.
He got it from someone. Like, someone gave that to him if he hasn't been traveling internationally. So, like, now he's kind of viewed almost in America as patient zero.
I'm pretty sure.
Which is, like,
Scott
ridiculous.
Van Pelt said that last night. I think he was kind of joking. He's just, like, essentially patient zero. He said that.
Which is ridiculous because other people in the country have it. Right. And there's people, like...
in sports, patient
one of us could have it, and we don't know that we have it because we haven't been tested yet. Like, just because you haven't tested positive doesn't mean you don't have it. Right. So, like... there are the number of cases that you have, and then there are the people that actually have it that haven't been tested. So, like, it's not like the number of people is growing crazy. It's the results that are going crazy over the days. Like, the people have it already. Mm-hmm. You just don't know that that you have it.
Yeah, I think in hearing how Rudy Gobert is actually feeling, you could totally see. And Rudy Gobert plays for a professional sports franchise that has a health and training staff that is taking every proper precaution. Many that people might even feel is unnecessary. So Rudy Gobert was feeling strong enough to play last night. There are probably plenty of people out there that are feeling similar symptoms that are like, yeah, I could go to work feeling like this. I don't feel like I have the flu. And then all of a sudden, with a test available, they're a carrier of this disease. What's interesting about Rudy Gobert is over the last few days, you keep hearing elderly. Well, this is a young, fit man who, if you look at his body, has a physique of like an Adonis.
Well, you keep hearing that it could affect, like,
no, you can get it. Like, any age can get it.
But in terms of it being,
this is like the first, like, oh man, a fit guy in his 20s.
No, they get it. They're just not as affected by it. The people that are affected are the older people that have respiratory issues, which is why it's so severe in older patients, because they can't fight it off, and that's why a lot of the fatality percentage-wise is higher in the elderly. Yeah. But young people are getting it. It's not that you're not going to get it. You just
can fight it off.
Have a better survival rate if you get it.
And I honestly think stories like Rudy Gobert's he'll, Lord willing, hopefully make this through this and his symptoms stay as they are now, which is nothing very serious. More stories like Rudy Gobert would actually put more people's mind at ease once you get over the initial shock of, oh, anybody can get this now. And there's probably going to be, if you look at the percentages, there's going to be more people in sports, in the NBA, maybe around those specific organizations that get this. Once we start normalizing this and you get more testing and you see more cases that make you feel better about the level of danger associated with this, then I think we'll inch closer towards normalcy. But there is a real panic over just the lack of information, the lack of testing, the lack of information regarding your symptoms and how this affects fit people as opposed to just the elderly. So hopefully that stuff can get squared away. It does feel like this is going to get a little crazier before it gets any better, just given the last 24 hours we've experienced.
Just in kind of trying to repeat the stay calm thing, like, the numbers will get larger, but a part of that is more people are getting tested. So, like, it's not like, let's say today the number is whatever it is, 1,000. I think it's more than that, but let's say it's 1,000.
Last I saw it was like 1,300.
Whatever, but just as an example, the number today is 1,000, right? If 5,000 people were tested today or whatever, it comes back to 4,000 people have it. That doesn't mean yesterday till today 3,000 people caught it. You know what I mean? Like, it's out there. We just don't have the results yet. So just try to stay calm, as calm as possible.
Yeah.
I'm not a good calming voice.
No, I mean, you actually are.
No,
you've done well this hour.
Generally, you are
Making me feel better.
you are the face of panic and
I've been panicked. I feel like,
what were you
fear
guys
on
doing
our
when
show.
you found out? Because, like, I
texted you, holy crap, or I think I might.
I was on the couch. I was watching television, trying to keep up to date on the latest information. I heard the president was speaking at 9:00, and I was making sure my ass was going to be watching the president speak.
I did not know he was speaking at 9. I was watching Modern Family Marathon on ABC, and then they cut into the president. So I was like,
okay.
oh, okay.
I was just trying to watch the Blackhawks game, man. Yeah. I was just trying to watch the Blackhawks game.
I was doing the 2 TV thing, so I had Heat game up top, knowing that the president was going to speak at 9, and I finally finished Succession season 2 last night. Made a dent on the old binge watching situation, which I think I'm going to be making more headway on here in the coming days.
Roy, how are you handling this? You bunkering down?
Anid forced me to go out the day before to BJ's Wholesale to get some.
There you go. Look at you, a day ahead.
What'd you get?
And I got basically nothing because it was all cleared out.
Oh,
You got nothing?
Yeah, I got some soft scrub bleach. That's about as much as the sanitation supplies go.
I don't want to like feed the panic, but like your fear goes like, okay, if businesses suspend, you have to give people a heads up. So like just like normal, like I'm big into like the delivery services for food now. Once the advent of like Postmates and Uber Eats came, I started spending way too much money on these
You're
things.
gonna have to cook a little bit.
So I don't, but I would love to cook if I had food. I don't really have that much food to cook. So if they close businesses for any sort of period of time, like I need to be able to get stuff to prepare for that. So
just stay calm, everyone.
Yeah,
we're
please,
veering
stay calm.
off of the stay calm.
Yeah. I will be eating as much Uber Eats as I can in the next few days, though, just because I need to start stockpiling stuff. Can you live off of potato chips?
I tried.
You have.
Roy has,
If there's
actually.
anybody with the life experience of knowing if one's diet can just live off of Cool Ranch Doritos, it would be you.
But hey, I know how to cook, and I cooked last night, and we're ready. We have meat, we have vegetables and whatnot, so we're good.
Pasta last night. We cooked pasta, and like in the middle of the meal, I'm like, we probably shouldn't have cooked this. This probably should. And then I Uber Eats Carvelange because I was like, you don't know if we can do this tomorrow.
I stress ate too last night. I had like half a carton of vanilla ice cream.
Well, you food prep. You cook enough for
Not like
maybe
a little
half
pint,
a week.
like a half a pint.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, this isn't like a situation where you're going to lose power because that's a double whammy come hurricane season. You have to get food and food that has to be prepared like either on a propane tank or without any sort of power. So honestly, being able to prep food with actual power in the house, like that's a new one for me. That's all of this is kind of a new one for me. Anyone?
Yeah, no one's experienced.
No
this
one's
before,
experienced this one.
No,
this is a new one. Sweet.
Stugotz here. People do amazing things every day, so it makes no sense that they shouldn't feel confident about doing their taxes. TurboTax believes that with the right tools and encouragement, people can do anything, even taxes. And with TurboTax Live, you even have access to CPAs and EAs on demand who are available to answer your questions or to give advice on how to file, even on nights and weekends. So you can do your taxes with ease and confidence and never feel stuck or alone during the tax process. You can also rest assured that you'll get your best possible outcome, which means you can file your taxes quickly and easily and get back to all those amazing things people do every day. TurboTax. All people are tax people.
Billy, how did you take in the news last night? Because of everyone in here, you seem like the one to me that does disconnect the most. So I always have a fear that this could all be happening right now, and Billy could just be like not paying attention to it because you could have turned off your phone for the night. That's why I texted you out of everyone, just like holy crap.
Yeah, very unhelpful, by the way. Just holy crap.
I know, but that's because I like that. If you don't know what's going on, did you know when you saw that text?
Yes and no. I knew more or less what was going on, but I didn't know the severity of the situation because yesterday was a day with my dog.
Oh yeah.
Yesterday
really?
was a day.
You were handling some things?
I
new
guess
puppy for the people that don't know.
He's going through like doggy puberty, I guess. So like he has a bunch of energy and he's just like, humping things.
He wants a woman in his life.
Yeah. And
or a man. You never know.
I think yes, thank you, Chris.
A lover.
I think as a result, or a pillow, which is really seems to be his lover of
or
choice.
a leg,
Yeah.
or a leg.
Yeah, but he seems to really like pillows and his old bed. I try to take those things away from him, and at a certain point, he just we have a white comforter.
Oh God.
He just vomited on the side of the comforter, and I think it wasn't like vomit. It was like
The yellow.
food. No. It was like food that he hadn't chewed all the way. So I think what happened was he just got overexcited and just regurgitated the food that was in his mouth and just bah! And got that all over the side of the comforter. And
Isn't this the day after he chewed up the remote? Did you talk about this on air?
I don't think I talked about that on air. Yeah, he chewed up the remote the day before, which is not the best. So I was upset with him 2 nights ago because I'm I cannot believe him. My wife's just be very calm with him. It's fine. I'm okay, fine, whatever.
How are you supposed to discipline? Because obviously you don't want to get physical. How do you discipline?
No, I don't.
No, you figure it out. These are the formative years.
Time out.
When I first got Roma, a couple months into her being alive, she ate the wall.
And
Just a piece of the wall.
Yet.
A piece of the wall.
Don't you just point at it and be no?
Bad girl. Don't do that. You say no.
I tried to put him in the room, our bedroom, which is where we keep him during the day, and then she's after 2 seconds, she's well, then you can't put him in there because then every time we leave, he'll associate. And I'm she's right. But where am I going to put him? What do I do? Okay, so just do whatever you want. I can't get mad at you. So that was 2 nights ago. Then yesterday, he's doing this humping thing where he's humping everything. And
you should have a dog trainer.
You're going to get him fixed?
Well, so yesterday was his class, which that was another thing.
I actually had success. My parents' puppy that is now a regular dog, I trained it when I was living there early on in its life. And puppy classes actually, I found it beneficial with the staying and stuff like that.
He's good at those things.
Okay.
He's fine with that. He just is having hormonal changes right now. So whatever.
Are you going to get him fixed?
Well, they told us wait until he's a year because if not, I don't know.
Yeah.
So whatever. We're kind of following those guidelines. Anyway, so he does this vomit thing where he vomits on this white comforter. I'm oh my God. And it was brown food. So I'm for a time trying to figure out, did he vomit or did he poop? And then you have to get into the zone where it's well, do I smell this? Which I did. And then I'm I don't know what vomit smells like compared to what poop smells like. This just smells awful. So I cleaned it up with a towel and I'm okay, fine. We'll move on from this. Doesn't matter, right? You look like you have some.
No. I'm looking in your eyes because I'm captivated.
Okay. Well, I saw on SportsCenter it said MLB committed to starting the season on time. I thought we were going to break in with that.
No. They have the benefit. I don't want to do the get up thing where I'm we'll see it. I will say though, some of the times because I'm there still. Dogs are going to vomit.
That was just the beginning of the day.
Dogs are going to bring stuff in your bed, and you're going to wonder. This is going to be a thing. It's just going to happen with a lot less frequency. Hell, I have a Tempur-Pedic mattress, and if I take the sheets off, you'll see there's 4 patches on it because my dog ate part of my bed.
Does that wine thing work?
What?
The game where you bounce on the bed and the wine glasses on the other end?
I wouldn't do it. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, sorry, we digress.
I wouldn't do it, but what I'm going to tell you is sometimes the sniffing game is going to go horribly wrong, and it's going to be poop, and you're going to wonder how'd the poop get there. I'm just warning you. The sniffing game is going to be is that That's poop.
Well, he's house trained, so like we haven't really had a lot of issues. So then my wife comes home and we walk him around and we do like his puppy class, and he was good in his puppy class, and you know, whatever. We get home. By the way, should I say this?
Say it, man. We're here.
His puppy trainer used to like train dolphins and whales.
That's quite the resume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, you're hired.
Yeah.
So that's just
a good
cool
thing to put
That's just a
on
cool
their business
aside.
card.
Yeah.
I train dogs now. I used to train whales. And
the puppy class also did wonders for Roma, although she is terrible on the leash. Like, she passed everything else, but the leash training is just, I guess we didn't have the discipline.
Well, so I watched, we have a conversation, me and my wife. Do we take the comforter to go to like a dry cleaner? Because our washer and dryer is not huge for like this massive comforter. And we decide, no, you know what, like, it's been a long week. Let's just have an easy night, go to sleep early, whatever. So then I'm watching The Masked Singer and I'm streaming it, and I'm having issues. And The Masked Singer,
why are you streaming?
If you want spoiler alert, I have Sling.
Okay.
So if you want like a spoiler alert, guys, like behind the scenes, like The Masked Singer is fun, but it's also a huge pain in the ass. Like, because I have to watch it every single week and take all these notes. So like, it's not the most fun thing in the world. Cause like, I'm watching and I'm like, oh, I need to write down clues for this person, and I didn't hear what they said, so now I need to rewind and go back.
But you mean your open bed in this regard.
I know. I'm well aware.
I actually got it spoiled for me. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to ruin the segment, but it was spoiled for me last night because I was just in the game of
how
people that are trending. I'm like, oh, what'd they do about coronavirus? Do they have corona? Yeah. So I clicked on a name last night, and that was the person that was
ridiculous.
It was one of the bigger names.
Ridiculous. Do you know the song that the person was performing? No. Baby Got Back.
Oh my god.
It was ridiculous.
Do you know who it was?
No, I have no idea.
Oh my god. Don't.
I try to avoid all Masked Singer spoilers because I'm such a fan of the segment.
Me too.
Don't watch.
Because of the internet last night, I was just clicking on every trending thing.
Yeah. Okay, so while The Masked Singer and I'm fighting with like the thing because I need to rewind 2 seconds and then it rewinds 5 minutes and then it starts the episode over again, and I'm like, I'm not watching this. Like, I'm gonna wait till it's DVR'd later and I'll watch it somewhere. Like, I can't keep this game up. Right? And then Lorenzo's texting me like, are you seeing what's going on right now? And it's like, Lorenzo, please leave me alone right now. I'm trying to,
but
like,
he was
there's a lot going on.
about, like, coronavirus. Lorenzo was on one last night.
Lorenzo's off the next 2 days, so, I think he's just bored and has nothing to do, so he wants the world to hear what he has to say about everything. Anyway, so while I'm fighting with, like, the TV to try to do this Masked Singer thing, which, again, I didn't realize we weren't on TV today, so, like, I'm just going to be reading it. So, like, the whole, like, thing that we worked out with Lorenzo where we had this whole, like, we had a whole visual angle, and none of it's happening.
Yeah, that's
right. On TV for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're not on television
on Thursday and Friday.
Today or tomorrow on ESPN News, and next week, same deal. We're not on TV Thursday or Friday.
That seems like something that doesn't matter. Well, we're not on because of tournaments that aren't happening.
Well, there are happening.
No, there are
just
tournaments that are happening, but just without fans. The ones that are bumping us off is like ACC, which was weird because, again, you hear all these announcements, and the NCAA announced that empty arenas, only essential staff and family are going to be there. But then you tune into ESPN, and you're watching the ACC tourney, and like 27,000 people are in Greensboro.
Yeah. It was weird that they announced that they were going to cancel or suspend the NBA season, and then had games that hadn't tipped yet, and they're like, we may still play this game. It's like, well, anyways, back to the story. So while this is going on, I know this is taking forever. While this is going on,
it is.
The dog just pees on the bed, which is like not cool at all.
Not cool.
On the comforter that I cleaned from vomit. So then it's now like 9:30 at night, and it's like, well, I can't sleep on this peed thing, and I'm not going to just leave it there because it's going to smell up the whole place.
You don't have other sheets?
Well, I don't want to leave a comforter just filled with urine in the corner. It's going to smell horrible.
Yeah, man, at 9:30, you gotta.
We went to a laundromat.
Oh man,
yeah.
I find a room.
Oh wait, that's 9:30.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Exactly.
This is like right when
everything's
the
going down.
shitstorm happens.
Yeah, that's when all of this is going down, and I'm like, I need to find a laundromat. And I don't, clearly, because of his behavior, I don't trust him to stay alone at the house.
Yeah.
So my wife's inside the laundromat doing it. I'm sitting outside because you can't take a dog inside a laundromat.
Chris is
so I'm
texting
just like,
you, holy crap.
Chris is just texting me things. I don't know what's going on. And I realize, well, I'm going to have something. So I'm sitting outside. It's 10 o'clock at night, more or less. Outside, holding the dog on a leash in one hand, holding my phone and a notepad in the other hand. I have AirPods in, and I'm watching The Masked Singer on the side of the road at 10 o'clock at night, like a crazy person, trying to take notes with my hand that has the dog's leash in it, while holding my phone in the other hand, just kind of squatting on the sidewalk because I can't go inside. And then, like, after I've had this little, like, 30-minute break where I'm like, oh, thank God, like, I saw The Masked Singer, like, we're good, doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Then I check my email, and oh, boy. And I see the text and Twitter and just everything. World kind of fell apart yesterday around that time.
Yeah, it did.
Like the dog pee thing.
No.
Not the worst thing that was going on at that time, but definitely an inconvenience.
Yeah.
What was more shocking, Tom Hanks or the NBA season? I know it's the second time at this hour I played this game. I'm just like,
what did we say last time?
No. I had a slightly different game last time. But
Well, yesterday I guess that the NBA season was probably headed towards some sort of suspension at the arena.
You're right. It was Tom Hanks.
didn't venture a guess that Tom Hanks was going to be stricken with the coronavirus. Yeah. So I'm going to say Tom Hanks because I did not see that one coming.
See, that's, like, obviously him and his wife being in their 60s, that's scary. Like, obviously a little more scary than the Gobert one just because he's younger, so you hope that his immune system can get him through it. But luckily, Chet Hanks, as I said earlier, has said, and I know that in Hanks' statement he said they had cold and stuff like that, but Chet says that he's...
Did you see the statement?
I heard it
up.
Oh, yeah. He's got like an eye in the middle of his chest.
Tatted up.
But he
his
says
entire body up to like his
Tom?
biceps. No, Chet.
But he says they're feeling better and that they're just going through all the precautions, but they're feeling fine. So that's, I mean, hopefully, man, this is... I was texting my parents today. I'm like, you're 60. You're both like...
Don't go anywhere.
You're both what, like, it's not like they're working, like they're in a good, comfortable space. I'm like, you guys need to just like...
just avoid big crowds. Chill. You see someone coughing, go the other way.
Dude, if I was in my 60s, I would not be here right now. I'd just be like, sorry, staying home for the next couple weeks.
Yeah. That's where you're at.
I mean, it's scary, man. And someone in Miami got it, some 56-year-old who apparently came through travel, but I don't know, man. This is a weird local hour.
Yeah.
One of the weirder ones.
Well, National's not going to get any less weird, I don't think.
Enjoy it.